here we are, boys and girls, in Jotham's Journey, Advent Week 4. This is part 3. For the next 2 hours, Jotham found himself in the stable under the inn, raking out the old hay and manure and replacing it with clean hay. This was not why he'd come to Bethlehem, but he's grateful that Hazra had taken him in to help, and he would show his appreciation in whatever way Jotham could. It was warm in the stable. The heat from the animals was held in by thick stone walls. There were 2 sheep, a goat, and 4 donkeys, which belonged to some of the travelers. One of the donkeys had a patch of white hair on his forehead that Jotham thought made the animal look just like his grandfather. He even started calling him grandfather. The animals were messing up the new hay just about as fast as Jotham could throw it in, and he felt as if he'd been working in this smelly stable his whole life. Soon his arms were so sore he could no longer toss the piles of hay, so he sat on the edge of the wooden feeding trough to rest. The donkey he called grandfather came over and muzzled his hand. "Hello, grandfather," Jotham said. "Would you like a treat?" The donkey rubbed his head against Jotham's arm, so Jotham reached into the manger and pulled out a handful of the hay. Grandfather ate the clover and the alfalfa straight from Jotham's hand. Jotham giggled at the way the animal's lips tickled his hand. The manger Jotham sat on was a rectangular box about the size of a sleeping mat and about as high as his waist. Rough planks of olive wood formed the sides and were gnarled along the top edges where dozens of animals had sharpened their teeth on it. When grandfather finished his snack, Jotham rested his hand on the edge of the trough, then pulled it back sharply with an ouch! A sliver from one of the chew marks had stuck in his hand. It took several minutes and a few tears before he was able to pull the sliver out of his hand. Finally, Jotham put some fresh hay in the feeding trough, washed his hands, and then reported back to Hazra. "I finished cleaning the stable," he said. Hazra smiled. "And did you put new hay in the manger?" When Jotham nodded yes, Hazra said, "Well then, I have another important job for you." Jotham felt his insides get disappointed again, but he tried not to let it show. He would do whatever anyone asked of him from now on, he decided, even if it meant putting aside what he wanted to do. Hazra was saying, "I need you to go and search for your family." Jotham got a huge grin on his face. "I would go and help you myself," Hazra continued, then with a sweep of his hand around the crowded room said, "But as you can see, my hands are already full." "That's fine," Jotham said. "I'm very grateful for the chance to look for my family myself." So Jotham headed out the door and Hazra called after him, "Be back by the time the sun sets, Jotham of Jericho," and Jotham waved back. Jotham was in a place where a wondrous event was just about to take place, but he didn't realize it. Many people today spend an entire Christmas season without ever realizing how truly close they are to wondrous magic of God's love. How can you prevent Christmas from just being another holiday?